All right, welcome back to another one of our film reviews. Today we are talking Kansas City Chiefs rookie defensive lineman Omar Norman-Lott. And I tell you what, Chiefs fans, he got a young stud emerging this defensive tackle. Rotational player right now, but he's making plays and he's just getting better and better. Great find by the Chiefs up front. We'll break down everything he did so well. As always, in the comment section below, give us any feedback you might have. If you're a fan of these film reviews and want to see us do more of them, consider becoming a member of our channel. There's a link in the description box below. But without further ado, let's jump right into the film. All right, we're going to open up with the run defense, and there is number 55, Omar Norman-Lott, right there on the right side of your screen. So it's just going to be a zone running scheme concept working to the offensive left right there. We're going to get motion pre-snap right here to try and get some flow from the linebackers to safeties from the Chiefs perspective. And up front, it's just going to be zone paths across the board, right? Zone path there, zone double team right here, working up to the next level. And we're going to get a backside scoop cutoff block here from the backside guard, trying to cut off Omar Norman-Lott right there, try and reach him a little bit. And if you don't reach him, they want to get some dent in the defense, get some horizontal movement right here. But if you look at the defensive tackle, 55, he's going to maintain his gap. You can see by the structure of the defense, this defensive lineman is that gap, 23 is that gap, 55 is that gap, this linebacker right here is this gap right here. So again, his responsibility, he's got to stay in his gap, making sure he does his responsibility. He does it really well and then comes off and makes a tackle. Let's check it out. There's a motion. There's a snap. Zone track, inside run, well defended, good stuff. Let's go back to the very beginning and break this down. You can see across the board on the play side here, the Chiefs defense does a pretty good job forcing it back into their help. No one gets reached. That's good up front. Chris Jones is a good football player. Again, distracts people. That's just what he does. Really good job on the play side. Let's look at 55 on the backside right here. Watch how he, again, doesn't get reached, but stays in his gap, right? 74 right here for the New York Giants. He knows if he doesn't reach him, maybe if he just runs him far enough, he'll open up a cutback lane. But Omar Norman-Lott doesn't take the cheese, guys. He just stays in his gap right here. You know about good gap defense? I'm going to try and freeze frame it right here. Look at that. They've got guys in each and every gap. There's nowhere for the running back to go. There's a safety right there if the running back tries to cut all the way back. This is good sound gap defense. Good job by 55, staying in his gap and then making the tackle. Nice play. All right, for the wide cop, you can see 55 right there. He's going to do a good job. Again, doing his job, staying in his gap, not giving up any ground either. One of the things that can happen when you try and stay in your gap is you can give up some vertical movement, right? An offensive lineman gets in your chest and starts walking you back. Not with 55. He maintains his ground, and there he's right there to make the play. This is just perfect defensive football. Do your job. Don't get moved. Disrag the offensive lineman. Make the tackle. Nice work. All right, sticking with the run defense, there's Omar Norman-Lott right there, number 55. Line up in a two-eye technique on the inside eye of the guard right here. Now it's a passing situation, and the Giants trying to surprise the Chiefs with the run. You can see the Chiefs think it's a pass because they got three defensive linemen on the left side right there. Normally how this works in a pass rush situation is you're trying to create one-on-one matchups. You have 55 go this way to pull the center. Now you have one-on-one right here and one-on-one left tackle on the defensive end. This is a situation where the Giants try and do an inside zone concept running this direction because they think they've got the bodies, right? They say, okay, 55 is going this way, we'll reach him. This defensive tackle is going this way, we'll reach him. We'll read this base block, and we've got guys up here going up to the next level. Should be a really nice run for our offense right here. But Omar Norman-Lott, he does a good job at the point of attack, getting into his gap like it's the stunt, starts off doing his play, but he recognizes and reacts to run and comes off and makes a tackle. Nice job by the rookie. Let's check it out. There's a snap. There's a zone. A little bit of a crease there. There's 55 to close it down. Nice play. All right, let's break it down right here. You can see at the snap, he gets into his pass rush, but right there he recognizes it's run, and he plays off of it and makes a tackle. That's really good. Recognizing and reacting. Talk about all the time when it comes to offensive line and defensive line play. It's one thing to do your job initially. It's one thing to fire up the football and get in your gap. That's good. That's critically important. But you also have to recognize and react to what the opposition does to you, the counter part of the play, right? You do your job, but the other guy, they got to vote, right? The other guy gets a vote. The other guy has a plan. You got to react to their plan, react to their strategy. 55 does that here and does it extremely well. Again, not a tackle for loss. It's not going to be on SportsCenter or make the highlight films on TikTok or anything like that. It's just good, solid, fundamental run defense, good, solid football. And considering the Giants, right, if you look at the situation at the snap, right here, they've got numbers, they've got a hole, they've got hats up to the next level. This looks like it could be a really big play for the New York Giants, but Omar Norman-Lott right there shuts it down.
Yeah, can we see what Omar Norman-Lott has done this season? Really didn't get to play week 1. Then week 2 to week 3, he's made some significant strides, especially overall. You look at his overall grade for the Chiefs in week 3 versus last week, week 2 versus the Eagles. A 16-point jump overall for him, all the way up to a 69.4 grade for him. Overall defensive grade. Really great job so far by Omar Norman-Lott.
All right, now let's go with some pass rush, and there's Omar Norman-Lott right there, line up again in a two-eye technique on the inside eye of the offensive guard right there. It's going to be kind of a tricky play here for the Giants. They got their backup quarterback in the game. They're going to send the running back in motion, play fake inside. Quarterback's going to look this direction. He's going to try and take a shot down the field. It's going to be standard pass protection up front. So we're going to have the play side, which is going to be these three guys right here for the Giants, all take the gap to the right. Center's going to take this gap. Right guard's going to take this gap, the heavy hand inside. Right tackle's going to take this gap, which means we have one-on-one on the backside, one-on-one right there, and one-on-one on Jones. That is obviously a matchup nightmare for the New York Giants and a big win for the Kansas City Chiefs. Jones does a good job getting pressure, but I like what 55 does here with the effort. He finishes the play. Let's check it out. There's motion. There's a snap, play fake, pump fake, going deep. Jones there, quarterback scrambles, tackled by Omar Norman-Lott. Nice play. Again, sometimes, especially in this Chiefs defense, when you're playing next to 95, it's not about generating the pressures all the time. It's about cleaning up the destructive force that 95 makes. And there you can see it right there. Really nice job by 55. Looks, he gets double teamed, right? The Giants, for whatever reason, just the way the structure of this play, they decide to put two guys on 55 and one guy on 95. That's not very smart. Look, I understand that happens sometimes in a game. You gotta block up front, right? So I'm not saying the Giants were stupid for doing this. I'm just saying the Chiefs, this is a big winning opportunity for Kansas City, and Chris Jones gets it done, generates the pressure, but you gotta have guys that are there to clean it up, because right here, there's a chance quarterback could escape, maybe run for a positive play, a big chunk play down the field. 55 says, no, I'm going to fight off the block, hustle to the football, make the tackle. Nice play. All right, for the wide copy, you can see Omar Norman-Lott right there. You get the motion by your screen. There's the pump fake. They're going deep or trying to go deep. It's just well defended. It's one of these situations. I don't know what the Giants are doing here, right? They have receivers running deep, but they have no one running really short. He doesn't throw it to the running back in the flat. He probably should have. It's just such a weird scheme. I know they're trying to get the young guy reps, but it's just not a really clever design from the Giants' perspective. But the Chiefs take advantage of it, right? Look at Chris Jones beating the guard. That obviously helps. And there's Omar Norman-Lott to clean it up. Again, hustle, effort, playmaking ability. That's what you need sometimes at the defensive tackle position. That's what you need at every defensive position, right? Hustle to the football, make tackles, get these guys on the ground. That's what it comes down to. You got to finish the play, and 55 does that here. All right, sticking with the pass rush, and there's 55, Omar Norman-Lott right there on the left side of your screen. He's lined up in a 3 technique on the outside shoulder of the guard in this situation. You can see the Chiefs, they got a lot of guys at the line of scrimmage, right? They got the double A-gap pop look right there. So every offensive line has an adjustment to that. So they have the play side, that's these 3 guys right here. They all take the gap to their left. Left tackle going there, left guard going there, center going there. Running back, you can see him right there. He's going to be responsible if 32 comes. Otherwise, he's going to check for help wherever he can. And then we get one-on-one on the backside. One-on-one right here on Omar Norman-Lott, and one-on-one right here, right tackle on defensive end. And this is a situation, if you're a defensive tackle, one of the things I love to see is pocket push. You don't want to get too cute unless you're a great athlete like 95. Sometimes just walk this guy back into the quarterback, generate chaos, and that's exactly what we see here from Omar Norman-Lott. Nice rep. Let's check it out. There's a snap. Pressure in his face. Weak check down, incomplete. All comes back to 55. All comes back to pressure. Let's look at him at the snap. Threatens upfield and just goes right into his chest and walks him back 5 yards in the second and a half. This is what I want from defensive tackles, right? You're staying in your lane. You're creating chaos. This quarterback right here, Russell Wilson, he's got eyes on 95. He's looking for 95. He's looking to read down the field. Next thing he knows, he's got his right guard in his lap right there. Watch Russell Wilson's footwork right there. He has to kind of fall away and has to kind of jump past to try and hit the check down. This is winning football, right? This is how you stop big plays, by getting pocket push right in the quarterback's face, has to check it down. Poor throw from the quarterback's perspective. But again, it all goes back to Omar Norman-Lott, defensive lineman, creating chaos. We know 95 can do it, and he's done it for a long time and continues to do so. But this young rookie right here, already so early in his career, making big plays, doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but this incomplete pass, this big win for this Chiefs defense on this down, comes back to number 55, winning in this situation.
I think one thing that Lott has really improved on is his pass rush, even from game to game. We saw last week versus Philly, this week versus New York. Really done a great job in pass rush, getting pressure on the quarterback. Last week, 1 pressure for Lott. This week, he amps things all the way up to 5 pressures. Really great job getting to the quarterback and applying pressure for Lott.
Now let's hear from the sponsor of today's video.
We'd like to give a big thanks to DraftKings Sportsbook for sponsoring today's video. Football season is right around the corner, and if you love the thrill of live betting, DraftKings has got you covered. Bet live on in-progress games right as they happen, and if sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry, you can still join in on the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports and have the shot to win cash prizes. And remember, new customers who bet $5 get $200 instantly in bonus bets. That's right. New customers who bet $5 get $200 instantly in bonus bets. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to DraftKings Sportsbook today and sign up using our promo code SMI. Again, head over to DraftKings Sportsbook and sign up today using our promo code SMI.
All right, going back to the run defense, and there's 55, Omar Norman-Lott. He's lined up in what we're going to call a one technique on the outside shoulder of the center right there. Just a reminder, a 2 eye techniques on the inside eye of the guard, a 3 techniques on the outside shoulder of the guard, just for a quick refresher. And we're going to get a running scheme here for the New York Giants. They're going to send 17 in motion pre-snap, and it's just going to be a zones concept working to the offensive left, base block there, working up to the linebacker there, base reach right here, running back trying to press it this direction, then cut back wherever we can find a hole. This is where on the play side, these 3 guys right here need to do a good job maintaining your gaps and setting an edge to the defense. And each player has to set the edge. This defensive end has to set the edge out here. Linebacker, you want to set the edge here. And this defensive tackle, Omar Norman-Lott, he wants to set the edge here, forcing the running back into his help. 55 does that in an extremely good way. Great team defense once again from the Chiefs. Let's check it out. There's a motion. There's a snap. Inside run. Edge set. Nowhere to go. Minimal gain. Really good team defense. I mean, this is really good defense up front. Watch 55 at the point of attack. Doesn't get reached. Sammy actually walks the offensive lineman back a yard or two, gets a penetration here. Running back wants to press this as long as he can before he gets north and south, but he almost has to cut it back early because he feels that penetration, and there the linebacker is, Bolton there is, to clean it up for a nice play defensively. Look at 55, good hands. See how he keeps his feet, hips, shoulders, everything parallel to the line of scrimmage. I'm going to try and freeze frame it right there. I mean, it's not a great football position. You can see the defensive end and linebacker on the left side of the screen, maybe just off the edge there. They're in a better base, but you can see Omar Norman-Lott does a good job making sure he doesn't get reached, sets the edge to the defense, and then puts on the brakes right there, allows the offensive guard's butt to stay in the hole, or the center's butt to stay in the hole, and the running back kind of runs right into it, runs back into the help, and there's 55 to help clean up as well. Good team defense, good run defense across the board. This is how you have to play defensive tackle on the play side. It's not all about the TFLs. We see that from Jones, of course. He does that a lot and does it at a high level. But team defense wins the day. We see that here from the rookie. All right, from the wide copy, watch Omar Norman-Lott right here at the point of attack. Look at that penetration he gets. Where's that ball snap, guys? Right around the Giants' own 49. What happens to the center? Gets walked back to about the 47. That's penetration. This running back wants, right here, you can see he wants to cut it back probably another step or two here. He wants to get some clearance from the backside before he cuts it back. But because he feels that penetration, he's got to cut it back a little early, runs into the linebacker. Good play from the Chiefs defense. Again, you talk about setting the edge. Look at the bottom of your screen right here. Look at this. This is perfect. No one is reached. Everyone is relatively square to the line of scrimmage. Running back has to cut back. A lot of Giants offensive linemen, their butts in the hole. Nowhere for the running back to go. Again, really good team defense. Really good defense across the board. Nice play from the rookie here. Nice play from the Kansas City guys up front. All right, going back to the pass rush, and there's Omar Norman-Lott right there on the right side of your screen. So this is a situation where the play side of the Giants offensive line is going to be the left side here. So left tackle is going to be one-on-one there, and with that gap, we're going to get basically a double team here. The center is one-on-one with that gap with a strong, heavy inside hand from the guard who's checking this gap, and then one-on-one right here on the backside, Giants against the Kansas City Chiefs. So what we're going to get here from Omar Norman-Lott is not a winning rep. It's not a spin move. It's not a rip move. It's nothing that, makes the highlight film, but it's good football, just working the offensive lineman slowly into the quarterback's lap, forces him to throw it quickly before he can get a chance to look downfield. Again, it's the little things, guys, that win for the defense. Let's check it out. There's a snap. A little bit of pressure. Has to throw it short. Minimal gain for the Giants offense. All right, let's break down 55 right here. Again, at the snap, fires out into the center. Center takes him over. Got some heavy inside help from the guard. Sort of a double team or a 1.5 team block, however you want to call that. But 55, Omar Norman-Lott just keeps running his feet. I love how he keeps moving his feet, right? Young offensive and defensive lineman, you should always be moving your feet. Look, who is this? Who's this on the right side? Is this Karlaftis? Yeah, he does the same thing. See how both these guys, 55 and 56, so close in number, so close to the quarterback here. Driving their feet, forcing the quarterback to get rid of the football. Sometimes it's not about winning the rep. Sometimes it's about just making the quarterback feel uncomfortable, and that's exactly what the Chiefs do up front. Good job from Omar Norman-Lott. Good job from George Karlaftis. Again, 2 guys on Chris Jones. That's going to happen a lot. When you get these opportunities, you got to at least make the quarterback uncomfortable, and the Chiefs do that here. Nice play from the rookie.
And finally, one last thing I want to touch on for Omar Norman-Lott is just his ability to jump up in run defense. We talked about the pressures, talked about overall, but in run defense, he's gotten a lot better as well since his first outing, week 2 versus Philly. He had a 12-point jump in run defense grade in this game. I think he's really starting to come into his own. We've seen improvement just overall, but also in pass rush, in run defense, every single phase of the game here for Omar Norman-Lott.
All right, let's end on another pass rush situation for the Kansas City Chiefs, and there's Omar Norman-Lott right there, line up right in this A-gap right here. I think I'm going to call him a one technique. You can make an argument he's a 2-eye, but regardless, he's an A-gap defender, and it's a pass rush situation for the Kansas City Chiefs, and he gets double team right here. The center's going to take over this gap. Guard's going to have a heavy hand inside. Right tackle taking this gap. One-on-one right here on the backside. We're going to get motion pre-snap right here for the quarterback to get a look to read the defense, and this is a situation where Russell Wilson, the Giants quarterback, doesn't like what he sees downfield, so he scrambles and runs for a pretty productive play. But I want you guys to watch Omar Norman-Lott right here. He gets absolutely mugged. Should have been called. It wasn't. Let's check it out. There's motion. There's a snap. Pressure. Steps up. Scrambles. Runs downfield. Decent little play for the Giants. Big chunk play, actually, for the running game from the quarterback perspective. Let's look at 55 right here. You know, fighting through two guys. Nowhere to really go. Look at that holding, guys. What do you think this is right here? That's kind of holding. Oh my goodness gracious, that's bad. I tell you what, the refs make a lot of bad calls, but that one's pretty egregious. I'm going to give this offensive lineman a little credit. See how he keeps his hands inside there? At least he does a good job at least trying to sell it and let it go. That's a pretty blatant missed call. But this is what happens when you fight off blocks. In the future, this will get called. I mean, this is a missed call, but it'll be called, 99 times out of 100. Just this is the one time where it's not. But this is what happens when you hustle and when you get off blocks. Defensive linemen, I always say, the most important thing is to do your job. The second most important thing, fight off the block and make the play. We've seen that from Omar Norman-Lott this entire film sequence. He fights off blocks. He makes plays. He does his job, and he does it well. Good little pass rush as well. But the most important thing about him is he moves his feet, and he's a guy who hustles to the football. In a situation like this going forward, this will draw a holding penalty. We've seen it in this cut-up, him make tackles, him stop the run, him get pressure on the quarterback. Really great find for the Kansas City Chiefs defense, and a key part of them going forward.